The Mirror and the Rain, a journal entry by Dr. Sara. Bangalore was dressed in silver that morning, thin fog curling between the gulmohar trees, the kind that makes every pane look poetic. I sat in my clinic watching the mist blur the outlines of the opposite building and felt as though the city itself was thinking. It had been almost 21 years since I had begun practicing therapy, but on days like this, I wondered who had healed whom. Each woman who had entered my room had left an echo behind, and today in the stillness, those echoes began to speak again. My case study about Simran, who came first, the girl with jasmine in her hair and uncertainty in her eyes, and she had walked with her heartbreak and walked out with a sketchbook, her pain translated into color. And when I think of her, I think of monsoon mornings, fragile yet cleansing. She had taught me that sometimes the heart must break to let light in. And about Priya, the other client, all fire and ruin, betrayed, abandoned, nearly erased. She had taught me what survival looked like when love turned predator. I remember the first time she smiled again, truly smiled after months of silence. It was like watching a wilted rose straighten towards the sun. And next case about the Ria, the one who walked through the fire of exploitation, her dignity nearly crushed beneath the weight of a man's greed. I remember telling her, "Your wounds are not shame, they are proof of your endurance." Today she runs a foundation for destitute women, and she once sent me a note. "You gave me back my spine. I keep it folded inside my diary. The letter is something precious than gold." Next to my first research paper, both reminders of purpose. And next, Shalini, the woman who had trusted charm only to be caged by it. She came to me in fragments, grief stricken, defeated, stripped of her self worth, but beneath the bruises of betrayal, I saw a volcano of resilience. She taught me the quiet ferocity of rebirth. And of course, Rita, the single mother who had faced the ugliest phase of manipulation, whose privacy had been stolen and desiccated. Um, Desecrated, and she fought for injustice for 8 long years, and though the law failed her, she never failed herself. Today she sits across my desk as my colleague and my partner and my counsel, the fragrance of coffee replacing the scent of fear. We speak of cases of lives of courage, and sometimes without saying it aloud, of survival. And finally, Meera, the my own mirror, my twin soul. Our story was not born of therapy but of recognition. Her love for Rajiv mirrored my own silent attachment to the man across my balcony, both sacred, both forbidden, both eternal. In her, I saw myself, not the doctor, not the mother, not the dutiful woman, but the soul that had spent decades yearning to be seen, understood, held. As I gazed through the misted window that morning, I realized something profound. Every woman who had come to seek healing had unknowingly returned a fragment of myself. Simran gave me back my innocence, and Priya my resilience, Ria my courage, and Shalini my rage, and Rita my defiance, and Meera she gave me my reflection. Each of their stories have sizzled me not with the perfection but into truth. I often think back to the girl I once was, the one who had faced her traumas alone without counsel or comfort, the babe in the woods, raw and bewildered, who learned to speak softly even when screaming inside. That girl still lives within me, but she no longer hides. Every time I guide a woman toward her own light, I see the girl smiling faintly in the corner, proud, free, and afraid. Outside the fog had thinned, the city began to stir, rickshaws honking, smell of filter coffee wafting from outside stalls, and bougainvilleas dripping from wet walls. Bangalore, my silent companion through every transformation, seemed to breathe with me. I closed my journal the one that held all their stories and whispered a prayer not of religion but of gratitude. Because in helping others find meaning, I had found my own. Because in every wounded woman, I had met myself over and over again until pain turned into peace. By evening, the sky changed into mind again. A drizzle began hesitant, silver, forgiving. I stepped onto my gazebo, letting the rain kiss my face. Across the way, a faint silhouette moved, the neighbor I never knew, the unspoken comfort of my days. We did not wave, we never do, but our eyes met, and for the heartbeat, time forgot itself. And in that moment, I understood that life does not need to be perfect to be precious. Healing is not about erasing what broke us, but learning to live beautifully beside the cracks. As the rain grew steadier, I whispered to that night, "This is what survival looks like, quiet, graceful, and infinite." The last page of Rain Tonight, Bangalore hums like a sleeping child. The rain had softened into mist, a thin silvery veil that blurs the streetlights into hollows. At a city smells of wet leaves, diesel distance. I sit by my window uh, balcony, and the same one that had witnessed years of storms, laughter, and silence, and I open my journal, the last page left unfilled. Perhaps this is how all journeys end, not in triumph or tragedy, but in acceptance. Clock ticks softly somewhere in the distance, a train howls into the night, that familiar sound of departure. I smile because once the sound of leaving used to ache in my own bones. Now it only reminds me that everything moves, even grief, even love, even me. Each story I've carried, Simran, Priya, Ria, Shalini, Rita, Meera, lives here in the folds of the city, in the rhythm of my pulse. They came as clients, they became confessions, they left as fragments of my own soul scattered back to me, polished by pain and perseverance. When I close my eyes, I can still see their faces, Simran sketching in Cubbon Park and Priya holding a child close under the morning sun, Ria addressing the women at a foundation, and Shalini walking into the court with her head held high, Rita smiling across the cleaning table, and Meera painting the evening sky with unspoken prayers. They survived, and because they survived, so did I. I often wonder what my life might have been if someone had counseled me when I needed it, when I was drowning in unspoken trauma, when solitude was both my punishment and my refuge. But maybe I was meant to walk through the wilderness alone, unguarded, so that I could someday guide others out of theirs. A girl I once was, fragile, frightened, yearning, a babe lost in the wood. I was standing beside, and she stands beside me tonight, no longer broken. She holds my hand as I write this. Together, we are whole. A soft knock breaks my reverie. The neighbor's balcony light flickers on. He steps out, watering the light row of plants that glisten like emeralds in the drizzle. He doesn't look up, neither do I, and yet something within me knows this silent communion will outlive us both. Not all connections demand names or endings, so some are just gentle reminders that the soul is seen even in the dark. The rain thickens again, tracing small rivers down the window pane. I close my journal. On the last page, I write, "To every woman who has ever wept in silence, to every heart that learned to beat again after broken, to every healer who was once a wound, this light, this rain, this strength is ours." Then I blow out the candle, listening to the night breathe. Through the open window, somewhere between the sigh of the wind and the rhythm of the rain, I feel it. Not loneliness, not longing, but peace. And for the first time in years, I sleep without dreaming. End of the last page. The Mirror and the Rain by Dr. SARA'S Journey concludes not in answers but in grace.